Hi, welcome and welcome back. I hope you're doing well. When it comes to being able to identify and understand and heal and recover from narcissistic abuse, family matters. You may not have to look too far from your family of origin to get to the root of how and why you accepted the narcissistic or toxic individual into your life. And a lot of times, there's someone in your family of origin who you were taught and trained to tolerate, and that other family members either ignored, tolerated, or made excuses for, or maybe encouraged you to love through their toxicity growing up, and then that just carried through into your adult life and your relationships later on. And not only that, but because narcissistic families have a code of silence where don't air the dirty laundry, and don't talk about the character flaws and weaknesses and all the dirty deeds that are going on behind closed doors, because then that would make us look bad, and we're going to alienate you and put you in a corner and or cut you off if you do that. But there's a code of silence in narcissistic families, which I've mentioned before in a previous video. And so because of that, you were also encouraged to not talk about or point out or ask questions or have a discussion about the narcissistic or toxic family member. And again, that then carries on into your adult life and into your relationships. And there you go. So there may be some characteristics. It may not be a carbon copy, like, oh my gosh, the narcissist in my life now is exactly like cousin so-and-so or uncle so-and-so. But there may be some parallels to where if you really sit with it and really think about it, it's like just really journal even about the events that you attended, the family gatherings that you went to, and just the different dynamics that were going on. What kinds of activities were taking place? What were some of your memories? What stood out to you? Were there any kind of, outbursts or any kind of significant family conflicts, or maybe certain family members that maybe stood out, kind of, they were in their own lane and kind of had their own thing going on? But those might be some things that you might want to just really process on your own and really think about, journal, etc., that can help you to dig deep and to really search and really come up with some solutions and some answers even as to why and how you allowed narcissistic and toxic individuals into your life currently. So, for example, I know that in my family of origin, there were certain relatives that were gainfully employed, had homes, marriages, and all kinds of things going in their favor at one point, but then they lost it all. And not only that, but they really bottomed out. Addictions, losing their home, losing their marriage, maybe even strained relationships with kids, and no one discussed it. It's like the big elephant in the room that's huge and stinky and just obvious, and no one talked about it. And not only that, but no one really took a deep dive to really address the deeply rooted childhood traumas that were at the root of the dysfunction. And not only that, it wasn't just one person, but there were many people, my dad being one of them. And it's hard to watch. You literally could very well have watched a family member just decline, just lose it all. and then ultimately lose their health even after all the material things are done and the relationships have fallen apart. Ultimately they lose their health and then pass away, and everybody's sad and oh my gosh and oh no and this is terrible and stuff like that. But the decline has been happening over a period of time, and therapy is off the table, out of the question, and certainly was out of the question at the time of whatever the trauma was that took place happened. Completely out of the question. Everything's been swept under the rug for a long period of time, and everybody has just kind of either bought into the code of silence, or not only that, just kind of put smiles on the face, or not. A lot of times everybody's really depressed and down and discontent, but maybe in some way, shape, or form keeping up the appearance that, hey, we're just marching forward. Maybe it's not that everything's awesome, but we're just keeping on marching forward and not stopping to deal with the deeper issues that are creating all of this dysfunction, and then just kind of tolerating or ignoring the dysfunction. But that doesn't get rid of the dysfunction. And if you're brought up in that and you're kind of taught to play along and to, go give the toxic or narcissistic relative a hug or a kiss, and even though you're kind of like, ooh, like even though they reek of alcohol or cigarettes, or they're on drugs, or they're kind of out of it, or just behaving in a very antagonistic way, or being very devaluing you, or expressing very condescending remarks, or just envy, or expressing their discontent outwardly and taking it out on you. Like if their life has kind of gone downhill and they see you doing well, they may try to cut you down or try to get you to feel sorry for them, or kind of take away your joy if you're celebrating a milestone for yourself. So these are just things to be aware of, and that can give you a deeper understanding as to how and why you might have allowed the narcissistic or toxic individual in your life. And I know for me, with the way that certain ones of my relatives lived their lives and the way that their lives ended, it's really interesting to me that some of the narcissistic or toxic individuals that I allowed into my life had also similar issues in terms of addictions, or being, if not homeless, close to it, and just being, very depressed, having a lot of deeply rooted trauma that never got dealt with, and really letting their health and well-being decline in the areas of hygiene, whether it's, just body care, dental, all of that kind of thing. And so it's very interesting to see those parallels, but you may be able to see some of those parallels in your own life, in your own family of origin, and in the narcissistic or toxic relationship that you were in as an adult. And you know what? Don't get down on yourself. Don't feel badly. It happens, and you cannot help the way that you were taught and trained growing up, and all you can do is continue to educate yourself, as I always say, and to really dig deep and do that journaling and really process what you were exposed to growing up and what you experienced, and maybe areas where you kind of thought to yourself, gosh, that's really odd, or why is this person this way, or why is nobody talking about this, or why is this whole pocket of the family in a state of decline, whether it's addictions or trauma that's not been dealt with or talked about, so maybe a tragedy. Oh my gosh, I mean, that's horrible. And to where no one has healed, and everybody is trying to cope in their own way, and in the process is destroying their own lives and also taking some other people down with them, at least until they escape and decide, look, I'm not going down with you. Anyway, dig deep, continue to do the work, and I promise you, things will come together for you. The light bulbs will come on. You will become more aware of how and why you accepted the narcissistic or toxic individual in your life, and you'll be quicker to cut those kinds of people and relationships out of your life, and even avoid them in the first place. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.